Hello there. Today I wanted to talk about mortality, and what has brought about this video is the fact that I was copied in on an email. I think it was sent to someone else, but for some reason I ended up being copied in, and it seemed to be written by either a Jehovah's Witness or someone who is trying to come to terms with his or her Jehovah's Witness beliefs in the context of discoveries they're making. And this person was basically giving their reasons for holding on to religion, and one of those reasons was, well, I don't want to die, basically. Religion gives you a hope for the future, and in my case I like the idea that life goes on. So without going too much into what I think about that approach, I don't consider it to be a particularly intellectually honest approach. I would actually call it wish thinking. So in other words, believing something that something is true purely because you want it to be true. But I wanted to talk specifically about death and mortality, because when you are religious, and I'm not seeking to criticize religious people, but when you are religious, death is less of a pressing concern to you, let's say, because you believe that everyone that you love and care about you will see again, and that you have chance of in some way living on after your time on this planet has ended in some way, shape or form. That roughly is what all religions offer. And when you cease to be religious, in other words, you come to the conclusion that, well, let's put it another way, either one or the other is true. Either only one religion out of all the religions available is true, or all religions are not true. And for those like me, we say, well, it's probably more likely it's probably more likely that no religions are true at all, and that we really are a product of nature. The likelihood is that life is not exclusive to our planet, that it is common throughout the universe, and that all living things on our planet arose through natural processes. Once you reach that conclusion, religion becomes slightly less relevant, and you start thinking more about, or at least in my case, you start thinking more about your own mortality and the fact that this life is actually all there is. How do you reconcile that kind of harsh jolt of reality? And probably everyone who abandons religion will have their own stories, but I thought I would share my own perspectives on that. Yes, it is terrifying to come to the conclusion that once you die, and that's it. So the stint that we have on this planet of 60, 70, 80, 90 years, however long it ends up being, that's your lot, and then you go. You cease to be. It can be terrifying, but once you really start thinking about it, and you slowly start to kind of come to terms with this, it actually, in my experience, enhances life and makes life more precious, because you realize that there isn't some better thing waiting for you after life. The beauty and the awe and the splendor is in the life that we have now, and it needs to be absolutely cherished. Not just our life needs to be cherished, but the life of all living things needs to be cherished, because it's so rare. And that gives you a very healthy perspective on, humanity and suffering in general, because you realize how awful it is for our limited experience on this planet to be cut short or hampered in any way through the cruelty of mankind. But another thing I wanted to say about mortality, our mortality, is the purpose of life, because that's a huge question. It's a question that gets thrown at non-believers and atheists quite a lot. Is yes, but what's the purpose of life? If there is no God, then life has no purpose. Richard Dawkins answers this question by saying, well, it's not a good question, because it's like saying, what is the purpose of string, or what is the purpose of an apple? Just because it's a question doesn't mean that the question itself has to make sense. Life doesn't have to have a purpose. And I would agree with that, but I think that the question is worthy of a slightly more philosophical answer. And my stab at it would be this. The purpose of life is life. When you look at all living things, whether it's plants or animals, all living things exist to create other living things. In other words, to continue life. And quite apart from the procreational aspect of life, that can basically be conveyed into other areas. So in other words, our purpose is not just to make babies, to pass on our genes, but our purpose can also be to improve the experience of life for other people, even after we've died. We may not see the fruits of our efforts in doing that. We may not be able to stick around and see how other people's lives in the future are better because of what we've done, or because of who we've given birth to, or because of what we've learned, or what job we've done, or what book we've written, or what film we've made, or whatever. But the simple truth is that humanity is progressing through the efforts and actions of individuals. If it wasn't for a great many good thinkers, innovators, inventors, scientists, activists, yes, politicians, our lives now in the Western world would be considerably worse than they are. So I think that's a very beautiful thing about life, the fact that we all have the power in a very incremental way to improve the quality of life after we're gone. I think that's a really beautiful purpose to have in life. So rather than just cheating death, the purpose of our life becomes to enhance the experience of life, the life experience for others. And who knows, maybe in the future, science will find a way of extending people's longevity and perhaps even eradicating death altogether. Who knows? Science has done some pretty crazy things over the past few decades. And it might be that we just missed the boat with that. I'm kind of still hanging on to the idea that maybe we haven't. Maybe something really cool will happen in the next few decades where or at least our lifespan gets extended somewhat. But even if that doesn't happen, there's still a huge amount of beauty in the fact that we can all make our own individual contributions, even if it's just through influencing others and influencing the next generation to make the world a better place. So even with the grim prospect of mortality, life really does have a purpose, and there's a lot to be positive about. So I just wanted to leave you with those thoughts, and thank you for watching.